Hi guys, I thought that I would come on here and do a video where I talk a little bit more about my life, since you guys don't know very much besides the fact that I had an abdominoplasty and it was something I wanted to get done and yada yada yada. I wanted to talk about something that had happened to me years ago after I gave birth to my second son. Postpartum depression, or PPD, however you want to call it. It caused a lot of changes in my life and in my family and in the way that I thought I would be as a mom and as a person, so I want to talk about it. So, very happy with my first son. I could not wish for anything better. I thought he was great. Although I did go through some anxiety that at the time I didn't know it was anxiety, postpartum anxiety. Notice that with both of my children, I had this tendency, like after birth, that I couldn't sleep. It was almost like a jolt of energy happened, and I couldn't really sleep well. I was super anxious all the time. Like if my baby cried for anything, it just gave me anxiety. I felt like something was crawling. My son was born the second week of lockdown, and we were at the hospital for one day. Mind you, there was so much going on around this time. My husband had just left his previous job, which was really good, paying him a really good amount of money, and we were fine in our apartment, and we were going to be totally fine. Around the time that I was pregnant, close to like maybe the 7-8 month mark, he got an opportunity to become a police officer. And so he started in the academy months before I gave birth. So he is, while he's in the academy, he's taking like, I don't know, almost a $40,000 pay cut a year. And so that was huge for one. And then COVID happened, and we didn't even know if they were still going to keep the academy going or what was going to happen with that. We're just kind of going through ups and downs because he was not really able to be present almost at all, because he was just putting all his effort towards the academy and being able to graduate and doing the things that he needed to do. So he was exhausted, and I was exhausted from pretty much being a single mom and dealing with a toddler while being like humongous, you know, like I'm super pregnant and, you know, getting home and I was working full time at the time. Like it was a very stressful time. We had our baby, went to the hospital. The labor was wonderful. Like I had natural birth. However, when I was at the hospital, I was there for about a day. They were trying to get everybody in and out. Like nobody, they didn't want anybody to get sick. So the least contact possible. And so I'm in the room, I gave birth. My husband is like, hey, I gotta go home because I gotta wake up early to do the academy thing, because at that point they were doing it online. But he was staying at my mother-in-law's because we traded, and my mom went to live with me for a week while I was getting better from everything and just to help me with the kids and all that stuff. He leaves for the night so that he is able to do the academy for the next day. I am like wide awake the whole night. I cannot sleep. I have like an adrenaline rush, and every time I try to go to sleep, my baby goes eh, and I'm like and I could not sleep, and it was so frustrating because the next night they discharged us. Mind you, they took like 2 hours to discharge us because they couldn't find the person that needed to sign this, and we needed to take that, and blah, blah, blah. And it was just such a shit show. And so anyway, we get home. Our son was already asleep. My mother-in-law was watching him for the time. Our son was already asleep at the apartment. We got home and went to sleep. Tried to go to sleep at least. I got up with the baby every single time that he wanted to eat, while I tried to let him sleep, and then the next morning, you know, he was gone. He had to go to work, had to go to the academy and, you know, figure all that stuff out. Well, he was doing it online, but he still had to be there the whole, what, 8 to 10 hours, something like that. I'm like at home with my son, with my two kids, right, at that point. And my mom is there for the week, and she was really helpful. The whole time that she was there, I was fine. The day she left my house, I locked myself in the room and I bawled my eyes out. I could not stop crying because I was like, what am I gonna do by myself with two kids stuck in this apartment on the second floor where there's absolutely nothing outside for them to do, and they can't even have play dates, and I can't take them anywhere. What am I gonna do? So I was already exhausted because I could not sleep for like 2 nights pretty much, and it just kind of snowballed from there on. I just was more and more tired every night. I couldn't seem to like make my baby latch. I got to the point where I was just kind of substituting with formula, trying to figure out what was going on. My baby was always hungry, and both of my kids never slept through the night. I don't know, like, that's wonderful for all you women that have children that can sleep through the night. My kids never did that. They were not like that until like 8 to 12 months. So I can't sleep. I'm trying to take care of my 2-year-old. I feel like I'm not doing enough. I feel like I'm not really taking care of him. My newborn baby like doesn't seem to ever be able to get enough food, and is like wanting my attention all the time. And I knew I was going through postpartum from the beginning, just because of that panic that I had when my mom left. I knew that something was different, something was wrong. But I was really in the thick of it when I could not take care of my baby. Like I couldn't. I felt like there was times where I just let him cry because I could not take care of him. Like I don't, like I would carry him and I would love him and all of this stuff, but it was not natural. It wasn't coming. Like it wasn't like, you know, when you hold a puppy and you just think, oh, this is the cutest thing ever. Like that was not happening to me. I was not bonding with my baby, and it scared the shit out of me because I had such a strong bond with my youngest son, and I wanted to form that bond with this baby, and it took me up to 6 months almost to form a bond with him, because we ended up figuring out that he had a lip and tongue tie. It was a really severe lip and tongue tie, and they never diagnosed it when he was in the hospital. He was there for 1 night, honestly, and the nurses came twice to see us. So tongue tie wasn't allowing him to suck in the food, so he was literally just getting whatever was being let down by my breasts at the time. He was not getting enough food, and he was actually a really good baby for not being able to get a lot of food, but it was a really difficult time. I ended up just doing formula for him, but even the formula, like, he had a hard time swallowing and he would spit up a lot, and I thought it was acid reflux, and it wasn't. We ended up figuring out the problem, which was that he had a severe lip and tongue tie, and we dealt with it, and then we found out that he didn't know how to suck properly. So then I had to over Zoom meetings I had to meet with a PT, and she would tell me what to do. So I had to like put my finger in his mouth and like teach him the motion of how to suck. So it was like constantly trying to like stimulate his mouth so that he would know how to suck properly. So I gave up on breastfeeding, you know, almost from the beginning. I was like, this is not going to work out. But my postpartum depression was very one day where my mom and my stepdad would always pick up my oldest and bring them with them, just because I just felt like I couldn't manage 2 children. Like I really felt like I could not be alone with 2 kids. It scared the crap out of me. And so they went and picked them up, and I just remember thinking when they left, I wish that they would have taken the baby, because at least he would be more cared for or happier if they would have taken the baby instead of my oldest, because I had a strong bond with him already. So it would have made me feel better to be with the oldest and not with the baby. And so then I tried to put myself to sleep. I tried to sleep a little bit more because I put my baby in the swing and he fell asleep. And I just laid there and I just cried for like an hour or two. And I just cried thinking like that my child would be better off with anyone else except me. That my child would be loved by anyone else a lot more than me. And that they would take way better care of him than I would. And at that point, I really just felt like a total failure. And I was like, this is it. Like, I can't. I called my mom and I packed up my things and I was like, I do not feel safe by myself with this baby. Because I felt like how depressed I felt like it would have been really easy for me to make a very stupid choice with my life. So I packed up and I came to my mom's house, and they watched both my kids, and I tried sleeping. And on the way here I called my doctor and I was like, I need whatever the strongest meds you have for antidepressant, because I can't do this anymore. And so I talked to the doctor, and she asked me, do you really want to go this route? Is this really what you want to do? Because you told us repeatedly that was not what you wanted to do. And I was like, I don't care. Give me whatever you have. I cannot live my life like this. Like, I just couldn't. At that point, I felt like I was doing everything that I possibly could to be okay, and I wasn't. So I think at that point my son was like 3 months about, and maybe less, maybe like 2 to 3 months. And so she told me, if I can't give you a prescription yet, you have to go through a psychologist and then they can give you a prescription. And I was like, I need it now. I do not need this any other day. Like, I need it now. And so that's kind of the day where I was like, okay, there's no way to get out of this except by pulling myself out of it. And my grandma called me and she told me, I know you're going through a hard time. I know this is really horrible. I've gone through it before. Nobody else can get you out of it except yourself. So you've got to pull it together. And I was like, okay. So I was like, what can I possibly do to make myself feel better? So then every morning I started like opening all the windows, letting all the light come in. I would lay my baby down on the bed, and I let the light hit him, and I let the light hit me and my son, and I tried to like put music on, and I tried to like organize myself a little better, and I started taking like as many supplements and vitamins as I possibly could, because I was like, maybe I need more vitamins, I don't know. So little by little I started getting a little bit better and getting a little more comfortable, and I'm actually really proud of that, because I feel like I did it. My mom obviously helped. My mom and my stepdad and everybody in my family was very present and very helpful, and they loved me and cared for me the whole time. But I think ultimately I pulled myself out of it and started exercising and all of that, and I was like, I have to be a better mom. I cannot let my kids down. I cannot let myself down. And so that's what I did. I did whatever I possibly could to be present and loving and caring with my kids. And I pulled myself out of the depression. And it wasn't easy. There was a lot of times where I still cried and locked myself in the bathroom and cried when they were sleeping, or, had mental breakdowns. But I prayed to God, and I knew deep inside that He was going to help me, and I knew that He was going to made me a stronger person. I know that there was something he was trying to show me with all the suffering. Your suffering is never just because. It's never going to be just because. There's always a reason. There's always a silver lining. There's always like something that you had to take away from there. And if you think about all the times that you've gone through something in your life, and then at the end of that, you're kind of like, if that wouldn't have happened, I probably wouldn't be the person that I am now, or I probably wouldn't have gotten to the position where I am now, or I probably wouldn't have had my children, or whatever it may be. Your suffering is always for a reason. Either God is trying to show you something, or he's trying to pull you away from something, but it's for a reason. So I know it's hard to hear that when you're going through the postpartum depression. It's really hard to hear it because you just feel so bad. But it'll get better, and it's eventually going to get to a point where you're going to be okay. And it's not your fault. You're not a bad parent. You're not a bad mom or a dad. Dads get it too. It just happens. It's something that happens when you have your children, and it's actually a lot more common than people would know. It's like you can't fix depression. It doesn't just get fixed. Like, you can't just pull your head out of being depressed. It takes time. It takes awareness. It takes being present. And honestly, it takes feeling your feelings and letting them out and letting them go, and almost like letting them cleanse you, and then you're okay. I want to be open about what I went through with my postpartum depression, because it happens to a lot of women, and it's really hard. And we continue to see women that don't seek the help that they need, or will go to somebody in their family, or even the spouse, and the spouse doesn't give them the attention, or doesn't care, because it's not their problem, it's yours. And then they commit suicide, or God forbid they kill their children. And so if you're going through something where you just don't feel yourself, please say something. Please go to therapy, call your doctor, let them know. If you need to get on antidepressants, then you need to get on antidepressants. Like, do what you can to be okay, because your baby needs you. You need you. And that's the most important thing. You need you. You need you to be okay and functioning in order for you to be there for your children. So take care of yourself in the way that you think is best, and screw what anybody else thinks. Like, if your husband's like, don't do it, if your parents are like, oh, you should be tougher than this, whatever. No, like, take care of you. You know when there's something wrong. You can feel it. You're aware of it. So take care of yourself. Love yourself. You're a human. And it's not going to be the easiest thing that you go through. You will get through it. Okay?